All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Talking Shit podcast. I am Dr. Evil Genius.
And I am Captain Paul.
Wow, that was really dramatic. Like you had the dramatic pause, and then you didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, no, I just I felt like winging it today. But let's get into it, man. You had something important to talk about today.
Yeah,
What's
this
it
is.
about?
I'm not sure if this falls into the cold truth or the hot take, or maybe it's a little bit of both. But you guys see the title of this video: "Society does not care about men." And there are different ways that we've seen this in society. There would be examples of how society shows that they don't care about men, whether it be in the dating arena, how we treat members of the military, how we treat men who do dirty, tough jobs that women don't want to do, how we treat the emotions of men, whether they look at men as being emotionless, emotional punching bags, or we're so emotional that, we're less of a man and all this other stuff. It's usually, no matter how they spin it, they try to make it where men are lesser and evil and weak and all these things, right? So this week, there was an interview that a pretty well-known psychologist in Jordan Peterson. He did an interview with Piers Morgan, which I found to be kind of hilarious because we saw Morgan lose his job in the UK. I don't know if it was like the BBC or he was with somebody, but now he pops up with Sky News in Australia. And we know that they definitely have a hard conservative leaning there. So to see Piers Morgan pop up in Australia is kind of funny to me, but that's really not what we're covering today. He did an interview with Jordan Peterson, and I thought it was very interesting, the exchange that they had. And, to kind of preface, to kind of set the stage for this, before they got into this line of questioning, Jordan Peterson was talking about the dangers of AI, artificial intelligence. And he was talking about how it's a really dangerous thing to let AI take over, because should it become tyrannical, you're going to have an electronic tyrant, kind of. And it's kind of like that dystopian warning. And I think that anybody who is reasonable would say, you know what, that's a reasonable take. Now, Piers Morgan shifted the conversation, and we're going to kind of take you through this conversation a little bit. Now, of course, the reminder, fair use. We're obviously not pretending to be Sky News Australia, okay?
I mean, I can throw an accent on if needed. I am white.
And we're going to shut you up. Okay, so I want you to listen to how this line of questioning gets set up and the reaction to this question.
I've got to wrap it up. I don't want to, but I have to. I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men.
Now you see, Jordan is trying to keep his frame here, right? But let's go back just a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. Okay? Because again, the person who is interviewing Mr. Peterson is not a woman, right? And this is why the title of this video is "Society Doesn't Care About Men," because this is not about browbeating women. This is not about blaming women. Society as a whole, even other men, don't give a fuck about other men.
So just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men.
Now, Piers Morgan, he added that bit. That's not something Olivia Wilde said. Right? He wanted to, kind of let the audience know, oh, this is who we're talking about, these weirdo loner men. Right? Weirdo gives a connotation that these are the outsiders. These are the minority, the guys that are creeping around the edge of society. No, most of these guys who are alone, this is the majority of men. But since nobody cares, people don't even understand the scale of how bad the problem is. People don't understand. People care so little about men. They don't understand how little they care about men.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes to a point where Jordan Peterson says a lot of things to help uplift men, help men get to the next level within their life, and kind of make sure and give them a path of success. I mean, there's been countless numbers of people that have come out and said that Jordan Peterson has affected them in a positive way and kind of given them direction in life. What I feel like to kind of just group in a little disingenuous. I don't know, just the way that question is kind of framed. It's kind of like, let's see if I can get a reaction out of him. You know what I mean?
Like any judge worth their salt would not allow, or whoever, if it's a prosecutor speaking, the defense attorney is going to object leading the witness, right? It's not up to you. Oh, these weirdo loner men. Like, you're leading the conversation because you have a bias against men, Mr. Morgan.
Who are despicable in many ways.
Who are despicable in many ways. You tell us, Mr. Morgan. You tell us how these men who are these single men, these loner men. Please tell us how despicable they are.
Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not?
Now, dude, as much I disagree a lot with Dr. Jordan Peterson because he's not like a medical doctor, right? Like, Jordan Peterson is a behavioral psychologist, right?
Right.
So when he starts talking about the Rona, it's like, dude, you're not a virologist. Shut the fuck up. Okay? But when it comes to matters like this, I want to hear a behavioral psychologist talk. Now, Piers Morgan is a fucking talking head, is he not, Captain?
Yeah, he's absolutely a talking head.
But he is the one that's diagnosing these men. He is the one he's the expert that's going to tell us, just how worthless these men are, right? He's going to dictate that to the behavioral psychologist.
Yep.
Right? Now, the behavioral psychologist, you can tell he's a bit annoyed. He's a bit annoyed. Because the line of questioning is disingenuous.
You can definitely tell that line. I mean, even his answer, right? You can definitely tell he's annoyed
There's
with it.
There's a little snark in there, right?
Might as well. I mean, that's funny.
People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young.
Now, I want you to see something in the body language, okay? I'm going to go back a couple of seconds here, right? Now, Jordan Peterson has been stoic this entire time. I want you guys to notice his body language because the anxiety has just now gone through the roof, and even he can't hide this. Watch, one of his legs is shaking his entire body. Watch.
People have been after me for
right there. You see it?
Because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. What a terrible thing to do that is.
You see? And you see he's trying to hold it together here. This is why I lost it emotionally. Shout out to a friend of TSP, the Indian Jesus. Go check out his channel. His link will be in the description below if I remember to do so. This is where it broke me. He the Indian Jesus, Lutch. Shout out to Lutch. He wanted me to come on his live stream and talk about this. But when I saw this look right here, on Mr. Peterson's face, I lost. I said, I can't come on live. I'm too emotional to talk about this. And the reason why this bothers me so much, Cap, is because he is hit with the realization that no matter where he goes, men are always going to be the bad people, the people that's socially acceptable to rag on, socially acceptable to hate, socially acceptable to ostracize, to demonize. And no matter, there is nowhere you can go in this world where men are going to get a kind word of encouragement. There's going to be no voice for them. Everybody wants you to shut up and fucking suffer. That's what they want for you.
Yeah.
If you're a man out there enjoying your life, there's a fucking problem. You need to be suffering somewhere, preferably under the foot of the opposite sex. And Jordan Peterson is a pretty balanced guy when it comes to this stuff. He is famous for telling men to clean their own room because he was tired of hearing men complain about women. And nobody is listening to when he's saying, you know what, guys? You guys need to level yourselves up, as Cap just said. Nobody's listening to that.
No.
Oh, this guy has something kind to say to other men that we find unattractive. We need to burn him at the stake.
I think the problem is that most people that get super offended or think Jordan Peterson is a vile human being have never actually listened to a lick of what the fuck he has said.
Sounds like Samuels, right?
Yeah, it does, because, like, quite frankly, Jordan Peterson, for all intents and purposes, is a harmless dude. All he's trying to do
sounds like
is
Joe
make
Rogan,
young.
too.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a young man. Not a young man. He's an older man trying to teach young men how to succeed. Because quite frankly, right now in society, young men aren't looked upon in a very high manner. Young men are constantly kicked down. I mean, we can go on and on through media and through many different art forms how men are always kicked down, spit on, and how women are put on this pedestal. And all Jordan Peterson is trying to do for these young men is give them a meaning, a way of success, a way how you can really clean your room, like become organized, set goals for yourself. And it's just weird how he's demonized in this way because he had one speech where he had one confrontation with someone that he didn't believe in the censorship of free speech. So, I mean, it's saddening in a way because I think these people that vilify Jordan Peterson have never even heard one of his lectures. No.
Or what they'll do is they will have this selective hearing where they will single out certain words that make him sound bad without listening to the entirety of what he says and the context therein.
Absolutely.
But this is what broke me. The look on his face. This is not an incel. This is not one of these weirdo loner men. This is a man who is successful. He's wealthy. He's got a family, a wife. He's had sex many times.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, people? This is not, but he's like, damn, this is that come to Jesus moment. When you realize that the people that built the world and made it so easy for everybody to live in get no respect in society. And people want to make it like, oh, you think that you're just entitled to a woman's body. No, we're entitled to the respect that you give human beings. And then the added respect when you're talking about the class of human beings that built the architecture of society that made your life the technological ease that it is, the efficiency, the ease, the leisure that you live in on the backs of men of all races. And you're just so flippant. That's why the man is upset. Hey, Cap, are you an incel, Cap?
No.
Are you a weirdo loner man?
Nope.
No.
I mean,
How about
I
me,
have to.
Cap? You think I'm struggling for the affections of women?
Nope. I actually think you get too much. So
This is a little too much. A little too much. But we have a fucking problem with this.
Yeah. Well, because
What happened
because,
to empathy? What happened to caring about the downtrodden no matter where they are? What happened to an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere? What happened to that?
I mean, hey, it's not in vogue. It's not cool. It's just, I'll be honest with you, it's downright sad to see kind of where society has taken it, where it's just constantly kicking down on men and young men just trying to find their way. I mean, I don't know. We had a video on this channel earlier about incels and how, they just need a way to improve themselves and to kind of feel better about themselves, right? So it's just, I mean, if all we're gonna do, and this is the funniest part, is the other side's out, no, kicking down's not right. Kicking down's not good. But then if you're just gonna kick down, like, aren't you hypocrites? I mean, that's an honest question I have, is if feminists are like all against friggin', no such thing as punching down, then why are you punching down on a group of men that, just probably need some guidance? My opinion. But let's keep rolling the clip, man.
Thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
Novel thought.
Well, God, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these cats.
Now, that was important. That was important there. People don't understand how demoralized people are. Even in that statement, Jordan is still acknowledging the struggles that women go through. In a segment where somebody tried to flippantly disregard and demonize men, he's still saying, hey, everybody's struggling out there.
Yeah.
In addition to these young men. And he doesn't have to be struggling to understand that struggle and to be empathetic. That's just humanity. But he's the bad guy. He's the one that is showing compassion for other human beings, but he's the bad guy. Make that make sense.
You can't.
Insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift, man.
I love that. Because a lot of people jumped on Kevin Samuels, right? And they said he's beating down on women by telling them that their expectations are too high. Jordan Peterson's not even saying that. He's saying, yo, if you want to be super picky, go right on ahead. Do you. I'm not going to demonize you for your nature. But can you please, for the love of elevation, stop demonizing the other side? Because they don't know how to be attracted to you. Let me tell you something, Captain Paul. I don't know how to be taller than what I am. I just don't know how to do it. Now, I do fall into the group that women are looking for height-wise, right? Don't fall into the group, because of the skin color thing, right? Right. So I don't know how to be 100% Caucasian, people. I don't know how to be taller than my height. Captain Paul can't be taller than what he is. Captain Paul does not have the information or the knowledge to not be a ginger.
Right. Nope.
You have all of these standards, and we're saying, go ahead, have your standards. But can you stop beating up on the people who are struggling the most. Oh, you're an incel. You're the gatekeeper to the vagina. So when you, to build up your own ego, rush to do, hey, man, I can't wait to reject the next one because that's my right. That gives me power. I'm the one doing the rejecting, and then I'm going to make fun of you for doing the rejecting that I already wanted to do. So when people are looking for somebody to listen to, all of a sudden, oh, no, don't listen to that guy. But what do you have for me? What's the alternative?
Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough. But all these men who are alienated, it's like they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on them.
When she said that, Olivia Wilde, it stung you, didn't it? I saw the
Oh, by
reaction.
that time, you know,
Now Morgan wants to soften his tone because now he realized he sounds like a fucking asshole.
I mean, once I got painted as Red Skull, you know, magical super Nazi, that was kind of the end of the insults. There's no place past that. So when Olivia Wilde made those comments, the first thing I did was go look at the preview for a movie, which I quite liked. I thought I would go see that movie probably, and perhaps I will. It didn't really bother me. My family and I talked about it right away, and we were able to respond to it with some degree of humor, which then people completely misunderstood. I said I hope that, you know, that if I had to be played by someone, he's a very good-looking man, and so that seems all right. You know?
So even when people are piling abuse on him, he's finding ways to defray that without attacking people. But he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, and then I said something like, I hope he gets my fashion style choice right when he plays me. And it was a joke. All that was a joke.
I mean, you've been so controlled today, and yet in that brief moment, you got very emotional. Why?
What kind of fucking question is that?
I think it's someone that doesn't necessarily know the read the room, and I think he's a. I think Piers Morgan. I think Piers Morgan is very oblivious to actually a lot of the societal pressures that men are facing in today's age. I mean, it's to the point where men higher than ever are committing suicide. Men higher than ever are depressed, and I understand that everyone wants to have a certain worldview and a certain viewpoint, but the facts are the facts. Men are more kicked down, spit on, and essentially abused than any other time, really, in modern history. I mean, it's to the point where you have young men just ashamed to be men. You know what I mean? It's like they make femininity and being a woman far superior than being a man.
And then we wonder why we got all of these boys in dresses and with purses and all of that. Well, and we wonder why that's happening.
When it kind of comes down to it, to each their own. I don't really give a shit, I guess, in that regard. But when you constantly alienate men men have built society, men have built civilization. I'm not saying women didn't have a place in it, didn't have a part in it. But let's not kid ourselves. Most women aren't out here doing the jobs that are the backbone and the foundation of our civilizations. They're not. Men built a lot of great things, and I think we just got to take and acknowledge the greatness in which a man can really achieve and the greatness men can do. I don't know when this started. I don't know why this absolute insanity begun, where it just suddenly became in vogue to, just tear down men, as a woman, or to dumb down men. And maybe it's been something really kind of thinking about this conversationally that if you noticed in media, even through our childhoods, it was always the dumb dad. It was always the oblivious dad. Yep. And it's just those subtleties.
Or abusive, either stupid, incompetent, or abusive, or some combination of all three.
where it became essentially a societal norm. That's how you viewed men. And I'm all for comedy, and that's great. But let's be honest here. Now more than ever, there's more pressure on these young boys to kind of not be men anymore, not be masculine, to be feminine, to lose everything about themselves. And the funniest part about all that is, you know, most women aren't attracted to feminine dudes. But society is pressuring these young boys to do things in a more, I would say, feminine manner. I mean, evil.
You're
Let's
getting
be honest.
so many mixed messages from society, but young boys are supposed to just be fucking launched out of their mothers just knowing what to do.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes to the point where you can't. I feel bad for these kids these days because you can't win. You know, a boy just can't be a boy. A boy can't just
And
be
if he
like,
is, he's
you know,
toxic.
and that's it. Because this whole false narrative of toxic masculinity, right? If anything, it's toxic femininity that has absolutely destroyed this culture. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with a boy being a boy. Like, there's nothing wrong with a girl being a girl.
I'll take it a step further, Cap. When I'm gonna extend the definition of toxic femininity past the women. I'm gonna say that there is toxic femininity among men, and that's what's tearing society down. Let's finish this up.
Yep.
It's really something to see.
He's back in that contemplative state again. He's pissing him off.
Constantly. How many people are dying for lack of an encouraging word?
Yep. Yep.
And how easy it is to provide that if you're careful. You know, give credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, you're a net force for good if you want to.
Yep.
Do you believe you're a net force for good?
What kind of fucking question is that? It reminds me, like, when you go on a dating app
Oh, Jesus Christ.
and the women are saying no creeps, no murderers, no e-parists, no liars. Who the fuck looks at themselves as a liar?
Yeah.
No narcissists. Who self-diagnosed themselves as narcissists? What kind of fucking dumbass question is that? You know, I'm usually the cool one. I'm usually the cool one. This shit is fucking pissing me off. It's pissing me off.
I mean, but I understand why it pisses you off. I just, when I look at Piers Morgan, I'm not necessarily surprised. Someone with very little tact and just kind of not. I mean, he is what he is. Personally, I mean, he has his viewpoints, and he kind of. I'm gonna be blunt. He's British, right? So I mean, that's. I don't know. I mean, I think he's a British media personality that I feel like he says things because he knows he has to carry a certain slant. But if you look at the actual statistics, I mean, men are, like I said.
But Cap, that doesn't even make sense. Because how did he lose his job in the UK? Because of some comments that he said about a woman.
But you also have to kind of realize this, is that some of this is, I think, just ingrained him at this point. You know what I mean? Like, he feels like he has to say that, or he has to, you know, kind of. I think some of this behavioral is kind of just, at this point, second nature, because it's become such a norm to hate on men that I don't even think he thinks about what he's saying. And he doesn't really contemplate in what he's saying. I think he just says it because that's what everyone else says. And that's what you see in today's society. Like, does anyone actually really think about, you know, the phrase of toxic masculinity and how damaging that is to young boys? You know,
They
yeah,
don't care. That's the point. We don't care how much damage boys are suffering. We don't care. As a society, we don't care.
I mean, it's sad. It's sad that we're at that point, but you know, if people really gave a shit about mental health like they say they did, they would care. And Jordan Peterson has given far back to young men than most people ever in their life. And to demonize a figure like that just because he's giving these young men hope is disgusting. And Olivia Wilde having a negative connotation with Peterson. I suggest you to buy his book. I suggest you to listen to some of his lectures, not just the fucking hot takes and clips, and really get to know what he's been saying. Because if you really think Dr. Peterson's evil, you're a fucking idiot.
You know what's really funny? And I've been noticing this, right? You want to talk about Olivia Wilde? Notice how when they all age out of that sex symbol position in Hollywood, where they make tens of millions of dollars off of it, when they age out, you know, they all turn into super feminist woman.
Yeah.
You notice that?
That's actually true, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so we're
wild.
going to be talking about that in a future video. For now, we want to ask you your opinions on this subject. Obviously, this is a male-focused channel. We built this channel to speak to disaffected men. This is what we built this for. And that's why this video was so important to us. So we want to know what you guys think in the comments section. This is definitely one that hits way too close to home for me as somebody that wants to provide encouraging words to all of you guys out there, and also encourage women to come to this community and offer encouraging words to men, because it's important. You see, we only care about the men after they've done something drastic.
Yeah.
But you don't care about them before something drastic happens, right?
Right.
You don't care about the plight of these young boys. You only care when they start listening to the Jordan Petersons and the Tates of the world. Only when they start listening to other men talk do you care about what's going on with young men. And even then, you still don't care. But we want to know from you guys in the comment section, you gals in the comment section, how you feel about this. And of course, this is the home of the cold truth and the hot take. So if you want to get more of our opinions and you guys want to voice your opinions, definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for all notifications, because talking to disaffected men, talking to the men who are, you know, cast to the outskirts of society, you know, that's automatic demonetization, because that's not something that the algorithm wants to promote. So definitely, you know, hit the share, the like, the subscribe, the dislike. Tell us why you dislike the video. And we'll catch you in the next one. We out.
Peace.